look behind us at what they did, at the Mesiras Nefesh of Klal Yisrael throughout our history. It all started on that fateful night. Klal Yisrael sent meraglim, spies, into the land of Israel to check it out, even though they had been promised by Hashem that it would be good. The spies came back. It's bad news. Big fruit, big people. It's simply too much for us. We're just not going to manage. The Pasuk says, Vatisa kol ha'eda, vayitnu es kolam, vayivku ha'om balayla hahu. Klal Yisrael cried. Chazal tell us that night was the night of Tisha B'Av. The Rabbeinu Shalom told Klal Yisrael, you cried a bechia shel chinam, a crying for nothing. I'm going to give you a reason to cry every single year. On that night, both Batei Mikdash were destroyed. A tragic time for Klal Yisrael, and the root of every single tzara lies in that night. And here we are, another Tisha B'Av. The question is, was it such a terrible Aveira? Was it really so bad that they cried for nothing? The Slonim Rebbe in the Siva Shalom explains, true, there were many Aveiras at that time, but Bechir Shel Chinam doesn't mean crying for no reason, but rather, it means crying with no hope. You gave up. That was the mistake. Cry, you can cry, but cry tears of hope. Klal Yisrael is not a nation that gives up. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's see how Klal Yisrael began, how the foundations were laid. The Torah tells us that Avraham Avinu separated himself from the prevailing philosophies of his time and recognized and accepted the Rabbeinu Shalom as the creator of the world. And when he found out that his nephew Lot was taken captive, the Torah says, Vayorek es chanichov yelidei beisai, shmoina oso shalosh me'ois, vayirdoif ad don. He armed his students, those born in his home, 318 of them, and chased the captors. But if he really believed he'd win, why didn't he take thousands? Why only 318? Rashi and many Mefarshim explain, he didn't actually take 318 men, he took one, Eliezer, his servant. Because Eliezer stands for perseverance. No matter how hard things are, he doesn't give up. Like when Eliezer searched for a wife for Yitzchak, it was difficult, but he persevered. So Avraham Avinu takes Eliezer with him as a symbol. We're going to succeed. We're not going to give up. Rav Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin explains, the word Yush, despair, giving up, is the Gematria 317. That number represents giving up. But the number that represents never giving up is 318. Just one more. Avraham Avinu set the foundation for Klal Yisrael with this idea. He was able to battle the most powerful kings and rescue his nephew, armed only with the belief that Hashem is our protector and that we never give up. 318 closes the door on despair. This is the basis of our nation's strength in Emunah. Throughout history, despair doesn't exist for a Yid. And because of that, anything is possible. That was the mistake of the Meraglim. They failed to realize who a Yid is and what he can accomplish if he just tries. And that's why we're still sitting here today on Tisha B'Av. But it's not easy. Jewish history is full of pain and suffering. We're called the Am HaNivcha, the chosen nation. Yet, paradoxically, no other nation has suffered as much as we have. Enemy after enemy, wanting to destroy us, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And many came close to succeeding. Even today, millions want to wipe us off planet Earth. The chaos can make us wonder, is there any method to this madness? Our 4,000 years of existence have been full of pogroms, inquisitions, crusades, the Holocaust, and terror attacks. Does it really make sense that Hashem would allow anyone to suffer, let alone His chosen, treasured, and beloved nation? But we have a mission, and it's for that mission that we were chosen. The path may be smooth at times, painful at others, but it's always optimal for growth. Being the chosen nation means Hashem is committed to help us reach our potential, no matter what it takes. Be it tranquil, be it suffering. Every ounce of pain is calculated. Part of Hashem's plan is to allow us to fulfill our mission on this world. There are always those individuals who exemplify this message in the most incredible way. Not only do they not give up, but they take the mission that was charged to them with so much seriousness and personal sacrifice, seeing the meaning behind the pain, the light within the darkness, looking beyond themselves and living for a greater Klal Yisrael. Let me take you on a journey of faith, hope, courage, and resilience. I want you to see the eternal light of Klal Yisrael. This is you, the eternal flame, the Ner Tamid. Chananel Gez moved to Eretz Yisrael from the United States a number of years ago. He lived in Brooklyn with his wife and 3 beautiful children. His wife was in her 9th month. Due to the high-risk pregnancy, they were discussing, should they go to the hospital now or not? Chananel turns to his wife and said, listen, this is your birth, you decide. She said, let's go. They put the car seat in the car, they bid farewell to their 3 children, and they exited their home, excited to start the next chapter of their life.
It was very natural, like, of course, you're driving. And then as we left the yishuv, we just came out of like our little tiny city, and we basically started to drive. It's like almost 10 at night, and I see on the right side like a green laser. It's like going in like circles like that, like as if the guy was going like this, sort of, and then he's like zeroing in on us. And basically suddenly there's like a straight line. I see like a straight green laser light. And it was weird, like the first second I was like, okay, what's going on? Why is there like a soldier over there standing in the middle of the night with like, and then a second later I'm like, could it be a terrorist? And it was too fast to like do anything about it. And then a second later, basically the shots are fired and there's like a big hole in front of my face. So I was a little confused because I see the car is still going the same speed. Like if anything would have happened, she would have hit the brakes, but she didn't do anything. I looked at her and she's like flailing to the side and she's like basically saying, no, I'm not okay, like with her head, like no. But then I have to stop the vehicle, and so I realize I have to jump on the brake. So I jump with my left leg immediately onto the brake, and the car immediately stops very abruptly. And then I immediately start putting pressure on all the area that she was shot at, and we were on our way to have a baby in a delivery room. Now plans have changed. Not so great. So okay, we gotta like do something else, I guess. Plan B. Gotta save her first. Maybe we can save her, maybe we can save the baby. I don't know what's happening. It's very, very crazy. I also didn't know if he's gonna shoot me also. So I was like, okay, I gotta like try to like protect myself. I don't know what's gonna happen. And in fact, I was hit in my hand and in my chest, but from shrapnel. He tried to kill me too. He basically was shooting all over, and the shots went around me. They didn't hit me, which was a big miracle. One ambulance for her and one ambulance for me. And I thought she would arrive first, but I arrived before her. So I immediately understood that she was delayed because they probably stopped the ambulance in the middle of the way to do CPR and to try to do like resuscitation and all that. So I knew that her chances of surviving are very, very low, but you know, your hope is always there that maybe somehow they'll save her. It's hard to like accept that she's like gone. So you try to like hold on to something. And I was very proud. I was very proud that I married a Jewish woman and my wife was murdered simply because she was Jewish, no other reason. She was a good woman. She only did good things for people. And I'm very proud of her. So basically they took me in for like just a few pictures, you know, like to do like x-ray and to do like ultrasound to see if there's no internal bleeding or anything like that. And they did like their general tests, and then they brought me back. And meanwhile, the second she came in, they checked if there's any heartbeat for the baby, because she was basically like, she was gone already, like from the very beginning. And then they saw a very, very tiny, faint hint of like a heartbeat from the baby. So they immediately did a C-section emergency and they pulled him out, and they did like CPR, and you know, they tried to get the baby back for like 20 minutes. It was very, very crazy. And they got him back. He lived for like 15 days, which was really special. Then they told me, listen, we're sorry, but we don't know what's going to be the situation, but right now he's alive. And your wife, she's gone, unfortunately. So yeah, that was hard to accept. I was like asking them again and again, like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. And then it was like, okay, I guess that's it. Like, what can you do? Like, it's hard. I knew that I have to tell my kids, and then they asked me, listen, but you have shrapnel in your arm. You have like metal stuck inside your arm. Like, it went from the back of the hand all the way to the front of the hand and got stuck inside right before it came out. And I was like, okay, but is it like immediate or can it wait until the Shiva? Because I need to tell my kids. So that was like the most difficult thing. And then they told me like, yeah, you can wait. Like it's gonna be painful, but you can wait. So I was like, yeah, somebody's gotta tell them. I'm not gonna, stay another couple of hours here when I have to go be with them and tell them. So that's what I did. And then they woke up and then I gave them to eat, but I was very like stone-faced. And they saw like something's wrong. They also saw like a few psychologists, people that they don't know, like standing there and waiting. And they're like trying to understand what's happening here. And I was like, we'll sit down and talk. First, just eat a little bit because, gotta like talk about something important. They heard already that the baby was born, so they were happy about that. But then I told them like straight up, like, okay guys, I gotta tell you something. Last night we went to have the baby, and on the way there was a terrorist and he shot us in the car, and we were both shot basically, but I was able to survive, Baruch Hashem. But then Ima, she got hurt a lot worse, and a lot of doctors tried to save her. I tried to save her, of course, first, and then a lot of doctors tried to help her also, but unfortunately we were not able to help her, and she's not coming back. So the oldest boy, he took it the hardest because he's already 10, Lavi. He immediately understood, and he cried very, very bitter tears. And then he was trying to like make sense of it, like, no, I'll give her 10 years of my life. I'll give her 50 years of my life. I'll give her all my life. And then I told him, but if you give her all your life, you won't live. So then he said, okay, so we'll do half and half, and then we'll die at the end together. So it was very difficult. So I basically told him, okay, listen, we all have to strengthen each other. And when you're down, I'll pick you up. And when I'm done, you'll pick me up. So yeah, it was difficult. But Baruch Hashem, I was able to try to give him some strength in the most difficult time. And the younger two kids, they're 6 and 7, they didn't really understand what's going on. They just thought it was like weird, but they didn't really put too much effort into it. Later on, they did have like a moment of realization about 3 days later when the soldiers were able to finally find the terrorist. They took him out. So when I got the news, so I told the kids, and the 2 younger kids, basically my 7-year-old Neorai, he said, oh good, now he's also in Shemaim, now I can shoot at the sky and I'll get him, and I'll shoot him more. And then the 6-year-old Amitai, he asked him, yeah, but how do you know that Ima is not going to get hit if you shoot? Very cute, like, their world. And so Neorai, he said, no, what do you think? I'm going to shoot, I'm going to aim well. I'm going to get him, not her. So, in their world, they kind of get it like that, but it was very difficult, obviously, to hear how they're trying to cope with this weird situation where their mom is not coming back, and it's tough. The morning after, when I already knew that the news is going out to everybody, I knew that I gotta show them that we're okay. And I wanted to put it out there that hey, look, times are really crazy right now, but nonetheless, I have no complaints to Hashem at all. So I basically have a group, I don't know, maybe 500 people. So I basically said, okay, this is where I want to strengthen my little group of people. I don't know if I can get to everybody, but at least my group. So I basically wrote to them today's a sad day. Last night my wife was murdered tragically. We were on the way to have our 4th baby with a lot of happiness and excitement, and unfortunately she was murdered, and it's really terrible. And naturally I'm very sad, I'm very broken, no doubt about that. But at the same time, I thank Hashem that I'm alive, that I can continue to spread the light of the Torah and Hashem and all the good that there is in the world to everywhere I can. And basically I said that Hashem is one, and He's our King, and He's the one and only. If He does something, then I accept it with love. We don't understand, but who said we have to understand? We don't have to understand, we want to understand. But even if we don't, it's still for the best. We don't know why. I actually took it a step further, which is what really held me together the whole time, which is give meaning to this whole thing. And when you give meaning to it and you realize, hey, Hashem gave me an opportunity, even though it sounds crazy, Hashem gave me an opportunity to be in a situation where the whole Jewish world is listening to me. So for me, it was okay, I have an opportunity of a lifetime, a golden opportunity, maybe of generations, that nobody ever had, maybe. That one Jew can strengthen the emunah and bitachon of every single Jewish person in the world, which is winning the jackpot of all generations. And it's am I going to squander it and just be depressed right now? Am I going to just let this all slide? No. I'm going to capitalize on this opportunity, and I'm going to give it my all. And I said, listen, we have to thank Hashem for everything that we go through, even the most tragic things. It feels weird saying this, but I'm happy it happened to me and not somebody else in my neighborhood, because if it happened to somebody else, I would be so broken for them, and I would be well, I gotta help you, you're so broken, I gotta be there for you. Of course, I would never have chosen this. Even if you gave me all the money in the world or all the, I don't know what, I would have never wanted this to happen. But if Hashem chose me to go through all this, then I accept it with love, and I will do everything I can to strengthen everybody around me. And that's something that held me and still holds me today. There's a pasuk that we all know, Tov leodot laHashem ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. להגיד בבוקר חסדך means when things are good. בבוקר, when there's light. חסדך, oh, everything is fine. chesed, yay, everything's fine. ואמונתך בלילות. When it's nighttime, when things are bad, when everything is dark around you, when your wife gets murdered, when your baby gets murdered, everything is terrible. Let's see you be a man. Let's see you believe in God at those moments. That's when it really makes the difference. You know, it's easy to be like a Jew, God-loving believer when everything is fine, but let's see you be like that believer when everything is like crumbling around you. I'm not gonna say that like, oh, I'm this like Superman or something. I'm not. I have terrible nights of crying half a night and then sleeping half a night. Or last night I didn't sleep at all. I was just going through all the pictures and videos of my dear wife. So yeah, we're gonna have difficult times, and you know, it's important to let that sink in and give that space and cry it out. But remembering in the bigger picture that everything is for the best, and I like to say, better news next time.
In the Aseres HaDibros, the Ten Commandments, it says, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, asher hotzesicha me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am Hashem your God, who took you out of Egypt. The Rishonim ask, why did the Aseres HaDibros, the Ten Commandments, start with this? Wouldn't it make more sense to say, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God, who created Shemayim Ba'oretz, the heaven and the earth? Why not start with creation? Why emphasize Yetzias Mitzrayim, taking us out of Egypt? The Rosh in Orchos Chaim explains, because taking us out of Mitzrayim shows Hashem isn't just the creator of the world. He's involved. He's present. He's here with us every step of the way, in every moment of our lives. We all believe in Hashem. Every Jew does. Emunah is the natural consciousness of every single Yid. So writes the Pietzetzner Rebbe in his Sefer, Eish Kodesh, while sitting in the burning Warsaw ghetto. But what about the times when we're just not sure? When we're in pain? When life is hard? Is Hashem really there? Does He remember me? Does He know what I'm going through? Worry and stress can cloud our vision. They make us feel like our emunah is weak, but it's not. We are strong, and our emunah is strong, even when we don't feel it. So how does one strengthen himself to see his emunah when times are tough? The Rambam explains, look at the world, look at your life, look at what's going on around you. Learn to see the Rabbeinu Shalom in your life when it's easy and when it's hard. Chananel showed us how to find this emunah. Not a life of ease, but a covenant of courage. A people who say, even now, especially now, I believe. It was in the middle of Yontif. We were struck by surprise. In our homes, in our shuls. The soldiers were rushed to the front lines. It happened in 1973. It happened again in 2023. Yom Kippur. Simchas Torah. Different enemies, same hatred. Their mission? To protect, to survive, to believe. 2 generations, 2 wars. 1 nation, 1 story. A soldier from the Yom Kippur War, now a Rosh Kolal in Beit Shemesh, who would rather remain anonymous.
On the way up to the north, of course, we didn't know to the extent, no one knew anything. We were just rushing to get where we had to get to.
A soldier currently in the army, Yeshaya Friedman from Netanya.
And then as I get towards the south, I just see burnt things all over the place. I'm starting to understand that something wild happened, but I still don't fully comprehend.
Overnight, we were preparing the tank. We had to load it with a huge amount of ammunition and whatever else had to be done to make sure it was ready to go.
We start gearing up. We were up all night, and then by October 8th, we were already sent into Sderot.
He was in the Meir Yeshiva on Yom Kippur when the war broke out. He was called up to war and headed north to the Syrian border.
We finally got to the camp, and as I said, there's a Tsevet, a group within the tank that trained together. So we were familiar with each other, we worked with each other, but there was such a balagam that they weren't there. We didn't get together. And there was a Tsevet that were there, 3 people, they were missing their driver. So they put me together with as their driver. So there we were. I was only from one. And then towards the morning, I said, okay, I have to daven now. I had my tefillin with me, I have to go daven, and I went to the side and I daven. I come back, the original driver came back. And he said, that's it, this is my tank, I'm going, get out of here. Okay, it's his schus, so he took over. 2 weeks later, I found out that they had succeeded in knocking out many serious tanks, like 180 tanks, a huge amount of tanks, because they got themselves into a certain position, they were able to do that. But the Syrians realized what was happening, and they gave back, and he was killed, and the others were wounded terribly. So that was the first nace that happened.
He was in shul on Simchas Torah morning. He was called up to war. And he heads south towards Gaza.
First time we went in, we were the first wave, and this was really fresh. We were the ones who opened up the logistical roads. You couldn't even get a vehicle into Gaza. It would first have to be conquered. When we were attacking there, we already reported that one of our guys, Hamas terrorists, came out of a tunnel. He was shot in the throat. He didn't make it. I'm like in the back of the wave. Like we have 3 waves of our unit. So I was going in the third. So we already knew going in that, oh my gosh, like this isn't a joke. And I remember we go in, it's pitch black, it's a bit foggy. I have night vision, you can't see anything. And I'm just saying the whole time, at any moment, while we're in formation walking in, Hamas could just pop up, just spray us down, and that's it. And everyone's gone. And I'm just keep saying how it's just between you and Hashem. Like that's it. It's just you and Hashem. There's nothing else protecting you. It's whatever schuyot you have, and maybe someone else around you that maybe could merit onto yourself. But that's it. There is no logic here. Logic is gone. This was Erev Shabbat. Every second there's shooting, there's bombings, there's this, there's that. You don't know what's what. And as the evening rolls in, you're davening, and it was very powerful because you're also in Gush Katif. So like you're the first Jew back in Gush Katif praying Kabbalat Shabbat. So it was just an unbelievable experience. And this is already after weeks of Sderot, and so really there was a lot of kavanah, and all the guys that never wore tzitzit before, and guys who are with us that have tattoos from head to toe, guys that are with us that used to be religious. Everyone during that prayer, the Kabbalat Shabbat, was arm in arm, just davening to Hashem, because everyone realized the truth. I mean, so much so that people are asking me that never put on tefillin, can I put on tefillin? I need to have an extra pair of tzitzit, because if this tzitzit's dirty, we're talking about guys who don't even keep Shabbat, they don't even know how to make a bracha. But there's something about when we put everything aside and you realize the unbelievable miracle of life, and that Hashem's really watching you, you can't get your way out of that. Whether you believe in Hashem, you don't, there comes a time where everyone's going to believe in Hashem. And we saw that moment transpire where we saw the achdut. I can tell you that if there was a prayer that Hashem was looking down and I think was listening to the most that Shabbat, it might have been us.
Then they put me with another group who were actually older guys who had been through other wars beforehand, and I became their driver. They were nice guys, and again, I was the only from one. So we started getting involved with the fighting. We were in the front lines. The condition of the tank was such that they weren't in the best condition. These were old tanks. At that time, it wasn't an old tank. The tank was a Centurion, which is considered a very good tank, a British tank, but it was with gears. And I had a hammer next to me. I had a hammer very often. I had to hammer the gear into place. And what happened at some point was that my tank got stuck. It just wouldn't move. And the Israelis were being pushed back, actually, from the positions they were in by the Syrians, because we were outnumbered. The Israelis were further back, and the Syrians were against us, and we ended up being in the middle, because they had to go move back, and we couldn't, so we were stuck. And you're not allowed to leave your tank unless it's strict permission, which they wouldn't give us. Finally, they realized that we were sitting duck, and they were shooting us non-stop. I remember till today the zing-zing of the bullets as they went by me. The odds were huge, were immense against us. As a matter of fact, we went up 120 tanks, 20 tanks came back. Finally, we were given the word that you have to leave your tank. Now, the Israelis are actually on the other side of a hill. That meant that we had to run up the hill, get to the other side of the hill, which we did. We ran. There's a saying, run for your life. I've never seen anyone run as fast as my commander run, and he was hit. He was hit in the knee, and I couldn't run so fast, so I was behind him. So he fell to the ground, and as I caught up with him, I fell next to him. I went down next to him. They were still shooting the whole time. We were up a hill, so we were sitting ducks. And I asked him if I can be in a help. He said, no, you go ahead. So he was my commander. There's no arguing, especially in times of war. So I went ahead, and Chasdei Shemai, I managed to get over the hill. As I get over the hill, there was something that's called a half truck. That they saw me, they came towards me. As they were going, I had to jump on. I had said Shema Yisrael already, by the way. This is the Mesiras Nefesh of our dear soldiers, that this which half truck, which itself was exposed. And it's a half truck means it's a half truck. It's exposed from the top. They came all the way around to the other side of the beginning of the hill to come up that hill, pick up the commander, and go over the hill. And they saved the commander. And they were willing to do that, to take that chance. So that's what we did. But then I had left my tefillin in a tank, and I was pretty much homeless. I didn't have my platoon, I didn't have a camp, I didn't have a tank. So my dear parents, Aleim Shalom, right, were in terrible condition. They were in London the whole time. They knew what was, they had no idea where I was. No one knew where I was. They contacted the army, didn't know where I was. I was like a missing person. People told me at that time that they would cross over the other street to avoid talking to them. They were just be crying up. They must have been going through a terrible time. Throughout the war, we would see never parents looking for their children throughout the war because they were missing. The army didn't know where they were, and they were just hoping beyond hope, and they would come and be looking and looking. And when you really begin to know what it's all about, is when we were on the buses and they would announce this one and that one was nifter, and then they saw the buses that they transferred into ambulances, and you saw the wounded, and that's when you started realizing the reality of what happened. The kids, I had no tefillin. I said, okay, I'm going to go. Every camp has to have a shul, so I'm going to look for the shul. I'm going to get a pair of tefillin. And I came to the shul. For some reason, I didn't know why at that time, the camp was deserted. Didn't see anybody. But I found the shul, and clearly the Syrians had come into the shul and threw a hand grenade in the shul. And you saw the whole shul was bombed up, and even the Arna Kodesh, the doors were off, and the Svarim were all over the floor. So I tried to make a bit of a Seder, and I got hold of a tefillin and Sefer Torah. And I knew there had to be a bunker too, and I made myself onto a bunker, and that's when I found everybody. It seems there were still snipers in the camp, Syrian snipers, and no one was walking around. And look at the Nissim. I had no idea about all this, and I was walking around. And Baruch Hashem, I ended up in the bunker. When I went into the bunker, everyone who wanted to put on tefillin, there was one commander of a division who had been through many, many wars. And he was changing his shirt. He was so schwitzy. He takes out of his pocket a small tehillah. He said, what are you doing with that? He said, I want you to know this saved my life. I had the always had this tehillah in my pocket, he said, and a bullet went right through and stopped. A few weeks later, someone came over to me, and he said that they retrieved our tank because we had managed to push back the Syrians. We find your tefillin, here's your tefillin. So I was in the front lines, both in Syria and the front lines in Egypt. Towards the end of the war, I was racing with UN jeeps across the sand dunes to get as close as possible to Har Haramon to make the ceasefire.
We had one mission to extend the area that we were in. So we go out on our patrol. We find a couple of tunnels on the way. And we're shooting just to show the enemy that you're here, you're alive, you're well. And then where I am, I noticed like tracer bullets, red bullets flying over my head. But there's behind me a tank, and the tanks also have a protocol that they shoot not just their shells, but they also have machine gun fire. So I knew from training, you know, every few bullets, there's a tracer. Okay, I didn't think anything of it. No one did. When I say they were whizzing past me, I mean like whizzing past me. So we finished the mission, and at the end of every mission, you have kind of a recap with the officers, and everyone gives their point of view and what could be improved and what went well. And then we spoke about how the tracers were a little close for comfort. And then the Shiryon, the tank commander, said, we're not using tracers in war. And then they put one and one together, and they realized from Jabalia they were shooting at us. And it was by some miracle that nothing happened, especially because we thought it was our guys. We didn't even take any protocol to take cover. Now fast forward almost a year later, and we're called again to Gaza. We have a mission, there's this university. It's inside a very dense city. It's very built up because they also think the hostages were there, so it's very left. And our mission is to go into this university because it's very tall buildings, very big. They know that Hamas has a lot of activity, and it's in a very central area. So we want to take away that advantage. So we're heading towards the building, and we get to a home that was turned into like a headquarters. And from that home, we're going to be walking by foot, maybe like 2-3 kilometers. This is right after Tisha B'Av, so we're talking about August. It's extremely hot. You have all the gear on you. And as we're getting closer, we're getting deeper into the city, deeper. And it's just thousands of buildings, tall, small windows beyond the eye could see. And we're already being radioed in that they already spot 3 different trios of terrorist cells already engaged, waiting for us. And my commander turns to me at one point and he just says, you need to start shooting at every single window. And I'm just looking, I'm like, it's kind of like saying, go to Manhattan into one block and start shooting every building. Like, I mean, maybe that's not the best analogy, but it's not that far off. And you're just like, where do I even start? And then, you know, all of a sudden, I remember walking through and just being like, this is the most unbelievable, like, moment. There's so much combat going on. It's just, there's no logic anymore. Now it's just Hashem. The only way I'm taking a step forward is Hashem. And we're getting deeper in. And at one point I spot the old issued army vests perfectly in what we call a chet, which is how in the army you put all your stuff in a chet. It's a disciplinary thing. And I knew right away, I said, that's going to be an IED because Hamas left it for us. Why are there old vests in a place that Sahel has never been? Doesn't make sense. So we immediately, I call that in, and the commander immediately tells everyone we're going to redirect. Now we finally get to the university. It's very hot, we're very tired. And one after another, we're going through the building, and we have with us also a D9. But the D9 at first went in the front, but then once they thought it was clear, everyone started going inside the university. We have drones with us, we have all the high-tech stuff. There's about 50, 60 chayalim, and we go into the building. And now I'm in the lobby of the building, and we're going one by one, classroom to classroom, lots of combat. And as we're just getting into the lobby and, you know, preparing to go to the next floor, all of a sudden, boom, an explosion where like my payout flew, like your hair, you're just taken back. And the first reaction was, everyone's like laughing a little bit, like, oh, what was that? And then reality checks in, you said, oh my gosh, that was an IED. And then the next thought, in my mind at least, was, I can't believe right now probably half my friends are dead. Then we start realizing now we need to do, instead of our mission, a rescue mission. And who knows when I go outside of this wall, back outside, what I'm going to be met with. While this is happening, we have 3 terrorists from a window about to shoot an RPG. Our sniper, remember I said there's a million windows? Baruch Hashem, there's no way to explain this. He chose the right window at the exact moment where they were putting it out the window to shoot it at us, shot him in the hand. The next guy picked up the RPG, shot him, they left. On the other side of the battlefield, another 3, a drone spotted them, bombed them. And if there were any more terrorists there, they left. I could tell you they went back into their tunnels. Now we go back to the IED, and I'm about to go out and realize my worst nightmare coming true. And lo and behold, where every chayal passed, we're talking 50, 60 chayalim, no one stepped on the IED. When we were all set and done and we were inside the building, the D9 kept traveling, went on it, it blew up all the tracks, and what was supposed to be a quick mission turned into now we have a D9 that's exploded, plus we have our mission at hand. And now they were telling us that originally only pack gear, food, water, whatever it is, for 4 hours. Now they were telling us we were going to be there maybe even till the next day. I remember walking and just everyone's so dehydrating. My top commander falls to the floor, dehydration, and this guy's like G.I. Joe. Like, there's no funny business with him. He's passing out. I remember I'm drinking liters upon liters, and I'm still not able to keep myself from passing out. And I'm trying, working so hard. Eventually, we do our mission. Just everyone came back safe and sound, and 1,000,001 things could have gone wrong. And I just remember getting back and having that phone call with my wife, and I remember speaking like 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's no coincidence. It can't be that every single person in my unit, with all that went on there, everyone came home safely, because it just doesn't make sense. And when you're there and you're overwhelmed by the enemy, and you're overwhelmed by the buildings, and you're overwhelmed by the heat, and yet you still find yourself at the end of the night or in the middle of the morning, whenever we got back, going back and taking a shower like a human being. This is only Hashem could pull you through. And I use the word wisely. He could pull you through, because it's not you. It's not me. We're not walking through. We're being pulled through. There's a certain shmirah, guarding that's happening from above. And these things and these stories that I'm telling you, it's constantly happening, constantly. And we like to focus in the war on, like, let's say, all the terrible things. But why don't we also tap into, we say on a daily basis, like, people are upset, people are sad about life, but they don't realize that every second they're breathing is a miracle. We need to focus also on the miracles that are happening in this war, because if you, I think, scale them, despite October 7th, you would find that the scale tips heavily towards the Baruch Hashem moments and the Shmirah from above.
Sometimes the truth is staring us in the face, and we simply don't see it. These 2 superhumans from 2 different generations saw Hashem, lived with Hashem, and felt Hashem. But even in our lives, our regular, ordinary lives, we're not on the front lines. We're not at war. We don't always get to see those miracles. But every single one of us can tap into this incredible power. We can also see the Rabbeinu Shalom in every part of our lives. We just have to open up our eyes. We just have to look. Rav Moshe Shapiro Zatzal once explained, the word olam, world, shares a root with he'elem, to hide. Hashem created a world where the spiritual is masked by the physical. We all experience moments of loneliness, moments of fear, moments of darkness. Just know you're not alone. Whether it's running up a hill in Syria, bullets flying, or walking through booby-trapped buildings in Gaza with snipers everywhere, they both felt the same truth. It's just us and Hashem. With all the tanks, with all the weapons, with all the training, they realized no one is going to save them except the Rabbeinu Shalom. We too must realize we can have everything in place in our lives, all the protections, all the support, but ultimately, it's only Hashem who holds our hand and takes us through the dark, challenging moments in life.
When somebody wanted to take off for a Shabbos, which we're allowed to do rarely, but if you had to take off the Shabbos in the middle of the war, the commander would tell us, you should know that you're going for Shabbos, but I can't leave your spot empty. Someone is taking over for you. So there's no such thing as taking it easy without someone else filling in for you. It's not that they're on the front lines. We have to feel we're at the front lines. You're on the front lines no less than everyone isn't on the front lines. And as long as they're on the front lines, they're being Moiseh Nefesh for us. Every word of Torah you learn, that's what's going to win the war. That's what enabling us to overcome the odds.
Now that we're, a year and 8 months or so into the war, I think something that we do have to understand is we can't stop the tefillot, we can't stop the special learning, because understand that while you're going on with your day and having the bar mitzvah and going to work and whatever it is you do, or going to a ball game, the chayalim are still going, searching for hostages, they're still going into intense battlefields, and they're still doing their job. And we just need to remember that as long as we're doing our job, they could do their job. And as long as they're doing their job, we could do our job. But it needs to be both sides doing it. It's no coincidence I'm telling you the whole story about all these amazing miracles that happen. Well, obviously it's because when both sides, me as the chayal going through it, and the world giving their tefillah and giving their extra ZAKA and their learning, obviously that goes hand in hand to the reason why I'm able to be here today and tell you the story.
In 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, the Rosh Yeshiva of the Mir, spoke to his Talmidim. He quoted the Gemara in Baba Basra about the Harugei Lud, the Jewish community in Lud that were accused of killing the king's child. The entire community was in danger. Then, 2 individuals came forward. They were completely innocent, but they took the blame to save the rest of the Kehillah. They were tortured to death, but the community was saved. The Gemara says, "Ein kol beria yechola lamoy b'mechitzasom." No creature can stand in their presence in Olam Haba. Why? Because they were Moiseh Nefesh for Klal Yisrael. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz now thundering to the boys, so too I say to you about those giving their lives for our safety. This, says Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, is how we have to view our soldiers who are fighting and taking risks for Klal Yisrael. Months and months not being home, away from their family, going hours if not days without sleeping, without food, putting themselves in grave danger for us. Our obligation is to learn, to daven, to say Tehillim and do acts of kindness for others, and has to reflect what they do. We need to push ourselves. We also have to do these things with Mesiras Nefesh. It's not easy, but it's not easy for them either. And they push themselves. We too have to push ourselves. That's our obligation for ourselves, for them, and for all of Klal Yisrael. But it doesn't always have a happy ending. Elchanan Danino, the father of Ori, who was down south on Simchas Torah morning, with weeks of uncertainty, eventually, after 21 days, the army came to deliver the news. He's been taken as a hostage. But they're not sure. They don't know which terror organization is holding him. After months of suffering, their biggest nightmare became reality.
It was very 330 difficult days. I remember the Motzei Shabbos before Alois HaShachar. 4 soldiers coming here, and we tell us that he find 6 hostages that he murdered in the tunnel. It was Kof Ches Menachem Av, and his murder Kof Vov Menachem Av, 2 days before. After 505 days coming back from the tunnel, Elia Cohen. And Elia Cohen is the first person who they tell us what's happened in the tunnel with Ori. Ori told him, the first would go up, make a Sefer Torah for the another, for the rest in the tunnel. And after this, he tells a lot of story that never Ori eat in the tunnel chicken or meat. Tell him, I eat only vegetable, because here we need a lot of Yiras Shamayim. And he's telling me, after the half pita, what you receive, after you finish to eat, Ori make a zimun to all the people and make Birkas Hamazon b'kol ram, and he say, I bench Birkas Hamazon for all latzet yedei chova. What we live today with the Nechome, that Ori was a good shliach to save 3 oilones. And kol hamatzil nefesh achas miYisrael כאילו קיים oilom mole. Ori saved 3 people. We are sure that 3 people. We know that he saved 12 people more before he's kidnapped. In Tehillim says Shir HaMalus, Mimamakim Krasicha Hashem. What is Mimamakim? When you live here, we have Mimamakim. When my son is there, this is the time Krasicha Hashem. I cry in Shema Kolenu every Shmoneh Esrei, 3 times in a day. And please, in the rest of the day, leave me healthy and normally. Because it's not possible when you don't know where your son, when he's coming, what's happened with him. The Emunah make you normally and healthy to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the leader of the world. My father, in the hesped of the Levi in Har Herzl, said that we are in the nest. In the Levi, he said we are in the nest. And he explained, what is the nest? The nest that the body is coming. Hadar Goldin is 11 years in Gaza. We don't know where, Ron Arad. We have the nest from Ori coming back to Ir HaKodesh, Yerushalayim. I see the Nisim. Because the terrible thing, what happened there, we have a lot of years to see the terrible thing. But normally, we forget the Nisim. That the terrorists did not go in Kiryat Gat, in Be'er Sheva, in Ofakim, and killed a lot of people. This is a nest. We also have a nest. That already coming, not coming live. But the Shlichus is finished, and when the Shlichus is finished, you need to give the neshama for the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Elchanan Danino came to our yeshiva, and this was while his son was still a hostage in Gaza. The boys were taken aback. They were in awe of his unwavering faith. They saw a father going through unimaginable pain, but radiating strength, giving them chizuk, teaching them what true emunah really looks like. And now, when we sat down with him, after his greatest fear had turned into reality, that same emunah remained rock solid. Imagine the concept of trying to write a letter to your child, a child murdered in cold blood, after hundreds of days as a hostage, after enduring torture, and only taken hostage because he went back to help others. What would you write? What would that letter say? In the story of Yosef HaTzadik, he was taken down to Mitzrayim by traveling merchants. The Torah adds what seems to be an unnecessary detail. They were carrying sweet-smelling spices. The Medrash asks, why do we need to know that? The answer? Normally they carried foul-smelling loads. But for Yosef, Hashem arranged sweet fragrances. Really? Would Yosef care about perfume after being sold by his brothers into slavery? Would someone on a cattle cart to Auschwitz appreciate that it smelled like lemon detergent? Of course not. So what does it mean? The Medrash is teaching us. Gzeira is a Gzeira. It sometimes has to happen. But if there's a way that Hashem can make it just a little bit easier, He will. Even in the pain, He sends us sweetness. He gives us the strength to carry on. He shows us He's holding our hand. That's what Elchanan taught us. Yes, it doesn't always end the way we want, but he was able to find the light even in the deepest darkness. He was able to smell those sweet spices amid the agony. I hope you're enjoying the film. This film was brought to you free of charge so more people can watch. The costs are tremendous. We ask each person, please be generous. There's a suggested donation listed below. If you could partner with us, we can continue this Avodas HaKodesh. Everyone knows ZAKA. The vests, the scenes, the silence. But behind the name are people. And behind the people are stories we've never really heard. He left his house at 10 a.m. on Simchas Torah morning, not knowing when or if he'd return. No one imagined what was coming. The message came through. Bring full ammunition and all of the body bags. He drove straight into the battlefield, his gun out of the window under fire. Yossi saved 16 people in his own car. He pushed through the most impossible moments. Bullets flying, grenades landing, the ground shaking beneath him. More than once, he was seconds from death. Yossi, we've all heard the stories. We've seen the headlines. But I want to go deeper. To break the myth that a ZAKA member's heart is like stone. Because behind every body you carry something else too.
The way we worked was a special team from the army that went in first to see if there is no terrorists over there or booby traps or something like that, and to make it safe for us to go in. They will come out and tell me there's a body over there, there's 1 killed, 2 killed or something. I would go in and check it out and see. My team was 74 people in my team, and I divided them to 6 was each team. Less experience, more experience. We know a body was shot. This is the team that goes in and handle it. And then those soldiers, they were very brave soldiers. They were talking like they saw everything, and then they come out from a house in Kibbutz Be'eri, and I see his eyes is red and tears. He's crying like a baby. And I ask him, Shlomi, what's going on? Are you okay? He told me, Yossi, that's it, I'm done. I can't anymore. And he told me, Yossi, don't go in. Don't go in, you won't be able to do it. I told him, 33 years I'm doing it. I'm working now with you for 8 hours. And why do you think? Okay, go. I went into the house and I saw something over there that I didn't see it before. There was like a lake of blood. What? How? Something. But then I see in the living room on the side there's a father and mother. They were shot in the back of the head. And the other side of the room is 2 children. Same thing. I said, still, okay, they were shot. Where's this blood? Then I picked them up and I saw what those terrorists did to them. And then I said, he's right, Shlomi's right. I can't do it. I went out to my team. I told them, guys, listen, I cannot go in and do it. You will have to go and a double team only the team that has 10 years of experience or more, they should go in, and they're gonna do. I'm not telling you what you have over there. The eyes were talking, and I read the minds, and they say, if Yossi can do it, why do you expect that we should be able to do it? You saw everything in your life. And I told them, listen guys, just go ahead. Whoever won't be able to do it, just should come out, and I will exchange him, replace him. I thought I'll have 2-3 volunteers coming out. Not even 2 minutes. All 12 volunteers marching out. This was the reaction. No, we can't do it. Crying? Nope. I picked up my hands and my eyes to Hashem and asked him, please help me. We need to respect them. Give me an idea. A minute later, I told them, listen guys, we're going in, and I'm going with you. But on one condition. You follow me. I'm crazy now. You're gonna follow me. Whatever I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna do. Who is in? They told me we're in. If you go, we go. We had our white suits. I told them, everybody keep their hands by hands. Sit down in the blood. We sit down in the blood. We start to sink. Vihi Shalom Dulav V'Seinu V'Lonu. And then we sang Ani Mame. I got up. Let's make a promise. We promise we will not leave this place and all the victims and all our brothers and sisters without respect of. Doesn't make a difference. It's gonna take months. Whatever it is, we're gonna find everyone and we're gonna make sure they get to Kaveh Yisrael. We got up. We started to do what we had to do. Volunteer. They come to me. They ask me, Yossi, we want to take home the suits that soaked with the blood. We want to take it home, and ask them why. When we're gonna pass after our 120, we want to take it with us. It should be a witness. I'm asking Hashem, help me to convince them not to do it. Give me the correct words. I got it. I told him, you know what? You're so right. I will not do it. If you want to do it, go ahead. I will not do it. And ask me why. Because I want all the 1,200 should be out a witness, not only this family. I said, you're right. Changed the suits, was put in for burial, and we went on. And I don't want anybody should know what we saw over there, because for me it took me 18 sessions only to take me out of my mind one thing that I saw that you can't live with it. It's impossible to live with it. When people are asking me why do you do it, and I met with over 200 specialists from the world that they came to learn of it, going not even all kind of units from the world, and they said this can happen only by Am Yisrael, but only by the Jewish nation, which can never happen that in 3 hours and 20 minutes you collected 237 bodies and you have a list exactly, you know which one went to each truck and everything, and that to give that respect, this can happen only to Klal Yisrael. This is what we were taught, to take your feelings and your mission and just to separate it. But I'm still a person. I'm still a father and a grandfather. I lost 15 pounds in the first week of the war. I slept only 4 hours in the entire week. I arrived home to Ashdod was 1.5 hours after candlelighting, after Hanukkah scenarios. I didn't shower for the entire week. My eyes were almost closed because I couldn't sleep. And when I came home, My kids and my wife, they didn't want to look at me. And I don't blame them. It was very hard because I didn't talk to them the entire week. 16 weeks I couldn't come home because I couldn't look at my children and my grandchildren. This is the worst punishment a person can have. It's the worst. And people are asking me, they say, how can you do that? It breaks you. It breaks you. It's impossible. A normal person can do it. But we know we're doing Hashem's work. And after we finished, we had volunteers, unfortunately, that lost their minds. They lost their jobs. They were sleeping. Well, one day, I was coming back from Yerushalayim to Ashdod with my family. We went to a family event at Bar Mitzvah. 12:30 in the middle of the night, my phone rings. I have my children in the car. I picked up the phone and I heard a child is crying on the phone. I knew what I'm approaching. I stopped my car on route number 1, and this kid, he has, in 10 days, he told me he's my bar mitzvah. My father, that was on your team, he's numb. He lies in bed. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't know of my bar mitzvah. I don't know where to go. I don't have anything. I didn't go to sleep. I was sitting in the car, waiting till 5 o'clock in the morning. I went back to Yerushalayim. I met this kid 6 o'clock when he went out to yeshiva. And I took him. I went to his principal. I spoke to his principal. And he told me there's problems with this kid the last couple of months. I took him. We bought everything. We took the parents. We sent them to Budapest for 3 days to clear their minds a little bit. And we arranged the entire bar mitzvah. Then we said we have to have a unit for treatment. And we started. I went to the Old Gedol Yisrael, to all the Rabbonim, and asked them, what can we do for our volunteers? Yes, there is the mechanical ways, the world, but it should be something for Yiddishkeit, something. The old Torah. I sent out a message in our group. Whoever wants to learn Daf HaYomi is going to get from me a Shas Shamsti. I thought I'm going to have 20. And we give them a list. Everybody has to sign up when he's learning, who's his chavrusa. The first round, we got 250 volunteers. Now we're giving out 600 Gemaras. We started above a Metzia. We're now in the middle of a Avodah Zarah. My daughter is putting out a book right now of all the comments and all the letters that we received from the children and the wives from the volunteers, what this did to their house, to the family. They lost the jobs. Now they have a commitment. They get up in the morning to learn. Automatically they got back the jobs. There's children that went off the derech and they saw the father now is committed. He has a commitment and he's doing the daf. They got back. They're learning together with them. We have a daily Zoom. 150 volunteers learning the daf. There's a volunteer that one of the missiles hit him in his eyes is something and he can't see. And he's asked me, Yossi, please help me. I can't. I have to learn. What do you need? There's the iPads from ArtScroll that you can make it a large. I called up Gedalia Zlantovich, gave me a price. I got a donor. He has it already. It's all the volunteers from all the groups, from Atzola, from everybody got into it. If this can help, let's go into it. So this is one of the things that we saw that gave us big chizik, and it has to be a chizik for everyone.
Throughout our history, Jews have always had the Mesiras Nefesh to do what's right. From Avram Avinu willing to sacrifice his son, to Mordechai Tzaddik who refused to bow to Haman, to volunteers and first responders who give of themselves for Klal Yisrael. It's in our DNA. Yossi showed us that that sacrifice goes well beyond their personal sacrifice, but is extended to every member of their family who is also sacrificing for Klal Yisrael. The mitzvah of Mesiras Nefesh applies to every single one of us. It doesn't only mean running into a building to save someone that's trapped, or walking into a scene that perhaps most of us won't be able to look at, but it applies to every single one of us. Because every single time we push ourselves just a little bit more to do that which we thought perhaps we couldn't, everyone has something that's hard for them. That means everyone can push a little bit more and have their personal Mesiras Nefesh. Whether it's davening, whether it's having kavanah during a bracha, perhaps not embarrassing somebody else, each to their own. But we all know where we can push ourselves, and that is our Mesiras Nefesh. June 13th, 3:08 a.m. local time. Sirens are sounded across the country. Israel just took the bold move of attacking the world's greatest threat, Iran. Israel was expecting the worst. Every hospital was on the highest alert after Prime Minister Netanyahu visited the Koisel to daven for its success. Operation Rising Lion achieved miraculous results. In a matter of hours, the Israelis managed to eliminate top Iranian generals and nuclear scientists. Mossad agents had been planted in Iran for years before the war even began, collecting intelligence that allowed Israel to accomplish this most difficult mission. With sirens wailing, we traveled around the country, visiting some of the sites that were recently impacted. These buildings were standing just hours ago. We wanted to see them up close. Let's hear from some of the people who witnessed it, who were there, who saw it, who lived it. We're at the scene, as you can see very clearly from behind me, a direct hit from a ballistic missile from Iran. And I want you just to imagine that there were people living in the building behind me. You can clearly see there's ovens, there's picture frames up. They were having a normal life. Everything was fine, life was going as the way they wanted it to go. And then all of a sudden, something hit, and life changed forever. Their entire lives were turned upside down. 9 people died in this very place, including 3 children. Can you imagine? You've got a family, parents, sitting with their children, and then the next morning, they're burying that child. Over 200 people got injured, some of them really seriously. And over 61 buildings in the location that we are were affected by the ballistic missile. It's so tragic, people died. But you have to remember the miracles also. A ballistic missile from Iran is packed with over a ton of explosives. It could kill hundreds of people. And yet, I don't want to say only, but only 9. Only 200 injured. It could have been thousands. I met a security guard a few days ago. He says to me, I'm not religious, but if you don't see God's hand in this, you're a fool. You can clearly see God's hand. I was in the bomb shelter in Haifa during a siren. There are all sorts of people there. Religious, not religious, half, maybe, who cares? Speaking to some of the people there, one particular person, definitely not religious, and he said, this is God. We're under Hashgachat Hashem. We're under the supervision of the Rabbi Shalom. Even they saw it. Speaking to Liran, the chazan of the shul Ahava V'Achava in Cholon.
7 in the morning, we just finished 1 minyan in the morning. Everybody started to leave, and in 7:15, we're gonna have the second minyan in our shul. Lots of people, old people come to this shul, and in the meantime, from 7 to 7:15, people start to put the tefillin, and 7:15, alert, in the phones. Before the alert start, this has come to our phone, and everybody says to the old people, please, let's go, let's go. So the old people say, no, we have in the shul, we have a place that we are going. It's not a shelter, but this is a place that usually we are going to this place. They say, we're going to stay here. So everybody told them, no, you come to the shelter with us. It's very dangerous. You saw what happened in Bat Yam. No, they start to argue. Two people start to argue. No, we are here. No, you come to the shelter. No. So everybody start running to the shelter. And in the moment they were in the shelter, 2 minutes after it, a big bomb. The shelter was like almost crashing. And then they went out and they saw the synagogue. Everything is broken. Everything is on the floor. The chandeliers on the floor. All the glasses of the windows, everything on the floor. It was amazing. Echal HaKodesh is in its place. Nothing happened to the Echal HaKodesh. Even to the Parochet, nothing happened to the Parochet. Second thing, all the glasses of the windows broken. Only one glass didn't broken. Do you know what glass? Of the Aron HaSefarim. Everything is broken, but you see all the Sefarim. Everything is in its place, nothing broken. You know what? This is here. When I went to Bat Yam as a reporter of Hidabrut, I went and I saw there one of the houses, and guy took me to his house. He showed me the same thing. Everything is broken. You know what didn't broke? The Sifriya of HaKodesh. He has a big Sifriyat Kodesh. Nothing happened to the Sifriya. You know what else? The Ben Ish Chai. All the pictures fell, the Ben Ish Chai is in this place. I went to Rehovot. In Rehovot, I saw another shul. The same thing happened in this shul. Everything is broken. All the glasses, all the windows. You know what didn't broke over there? The same thing, Sifriyat, Echal HaKodesh, Aron HaKodesh. Everything is in its place. I went to the hotel of the people who injured here, people who evacuated from him. And you know what they told me? They told me, Liran, we had amazing miracles. I'm not a religious, I don't have kippah, he says. I never put tefillin, but now I'm going to put tefillin. Now I'm going to keep Shabbat, I'm going to do something. I cannot see this and not say, God is with us.
Driving down to Beersheba, we stop off at a barber in Rehovot.
יום אחד קיבלתי משמיים איזה אור ככה, והחלטתי לסגור את כל המספרה. לסגור אותה של אנשים ולהפוך את זה לתשמישי קדושה. וברוך השם, השתבח שמו, יש לי פה עכשיו, אני מספר, גברים בלבד, שעושים קידוש השם, ברוך השם, מקבלים הכל.
After sacrificing so much of his parnasa for Yiddishkeit, the miracle actually started years earlier. And then the rocket hits.
כל החנויות פה, כמו שאתם רואים, הכל פה התפוצץ, כל הזכוכיות, glasses, if boom. And me store, thank to God, nothing.
Nothing happened.
לא קרה כלום.
All the stores around,
All
the glass
the
got
store,
smashed,
all
everything
the
was destroyed.
all
This
the
store, nothing.
Nothing. Because you have tefillin, you have mezuzot, you have ציציות, you have kippah. השם שומר עלינו. נס, תאמינו לי, כל שבור. חוץ מתשמישי קדושה.
This is the old surgical ward, and there are patients here that are recovering after surgery. And for years, the administration have been wondering when is the time to move them from this place over here, which they understand is not really up to standard, it's not up to scratch. They decided, because of the Matzav in Eretz Yisrael, Wednesday night is the time that we're going to take everyone out. We're going to evacuate the entire ward, and that's exactly what they do. They couldn't imagine how quickly it happened. Within just a few hours, they had managed to evacuate all of the patients out of here. On Thursday morning, a direct hit. A ballistic missile from Iran lands right here behind me. There's wards everywhere. Patients all over the place. But yet, the Ribbono Shel Olam knew exactly where it's going to land at exactly the right time that it's meant to land. Just to put things into perspective, when a missile hits, it doesn't just penetrate the place that it hits. There are rocks flying in every direction, 300 meters all over the place. We saw some of the people, we spoke to them. These are from families that live here. They lived in these apartments, in these buildings, and yet nothing happened to them. They escaped without a scratch. Many children lying in bed with glass shattered all over the place. A Belzer family that lived in the building right behind me did not have a mamad, did not have a safe room. There wasn't one in the entire building. So what they did was the following. They took their children and they put them under the table, the dining room table, pushed the couch towards them to shelter them. And the parents took shelter right next to the Sfarim shrink. As you can see behind me, complete destruction. The entire apartment collapsed, and leaving only those that were sheltering under the table and by the Sfarim shrink completely unharmed. You could see behind me the indentation from the ballistic missile that landed right down below on the street, actually into a water tank, which stopped it from exploding. If that missile would have been just a half a meter in, the entire building would have collapsed. Do you understand what we just witnessed? Over 550 ballistic missiles were sent to Israel. Over 1,000 UAVs were launched against Israel. 30 people died. And although every life is precious, it could have been so much worse. Just up the road from me, they had prepared freezer trucks ready to be filled with bodies. We as a nation were expecting the worst. But yet, we saw miracle after miracle with our own eyes. We witnessed on a national level the incredible Hashgacha Pratis of how the Rabbeinu Shalom was watching us. Whether it was the empty ward in the hospital or the water fountain stopping the impact of the missile, we saw the miracles. We experienced the pain. Every one of us in Israel took our children into the bomb shelters. We were in the middle of filming and we had to run into the bomb shelters because of the sirens. It was scary. There was chaos. No one knew what was going to be. But yet, at the end of it, after 12 days, we got to see the miracles. What could have happened and what did happen were totally different pictures.
In order that the present generation shall know, and the children that will be born shall rise and tell to their children. That's written in Tehillim, L'ma yedu dor acharon, banim yivaledu yakumu v'sapru livneihem.
Prisoner ID number 89012, Itzik Eisner. He survived multiple death camps. He witnessed some of the most horrific, barbaric scenes known to mankind. Hearing the dogs barking, smelling the smoke, being squashed into cattle carts for days on end with no food, just trying to survive, just trying to live. He's on a death march, 120 kilometers, and he notices beside him a fellow Yid about to pass out.
And I saw a friend of mine, David, I called him David Bachi. He hardly can breathe because he was an older person. And I saw in a field, I saw carrots growing, because I came from a village, I know how carrots are growing. And I made myself like this, Keilu, I'm rolling down from the highway. And with my two hands, I pulled down pellets, 2 pellets, and I cleaned the carrots, and I stuck it to his mouth. And he said, Eisner, aus mir gebringt zum Leben, you saved my life. And I said, do it, Bachi, I have another carrot. Here is another carrot. And I gave him to eat 2 carrots. But I wrote down to shoot the carrots. I was trying to shoot. I remember like today, Oi, Yitzchak, he said to me, Itzu, aus mir geraten wird, you saved my life. I can eat, I can breathe. I will never forget this.
Surrounded by the horrors, lays Itzik on the hard stone ground, with death all around him. That's it. He had given up. He just couldn't anymore. He had no strength left. And then, suddenly, he sees a familiar face. He sees someone he recognizes. He shouts out, Doctor, doctor, do you recognize me? The man looks at him and says, who are you? And he replies, do you not remember? You were my teacher.
I remember like today, I had high fever, burning to death. And there was a doctor from my village, from my city, Mordechai Weiss, Olaf Sholem. He was in charge of one sick block. black people who died. And he knew me from school because I was in Hebrew school, and he used to come voluntarily to the Hebrew school to teach us about health. And he used to come at night in the evening, grabbing me by hand, like here I should sit up, and he brought some grease, daisa, and he fed me with daisa. He really saved my life, this Mordechai Weiss. And I remember when they took him and he fell into typhus, and he told me, he was not a religious man, he told me, you know that you're of the dead camp, I tried to save you, please go pray to God that I should save me. I said, I certainly will do it. He said, my mother was Sarah and I am Mordechai. I said, I will pray for you. And he survived. And when he came home, he saw me, and he told the people, this is my child. He prayed for me.
One night, Itzik was in the barracks, trying to sleep. He just couldn't. He felt lost. He couldn't go on. He gets up and walks to the corner of the barrack and said, Rabbeinu Shalom, I want to have a conversation with you.
If the Rabbeinu Shalom will leave me alive, I will give my life, all my life, for children. And that's what I did. I became a teacher. I went to Poland once with a group, and I told the group, they were sent in a place where I made a pledge to God. If I come down alive, I will give my life for chinuch. And here I am with a group, and I have a bottle of whiskey, and I said like this, I forgive you, and you forgive me, Baruch Hashem, I'm here.
We asked Itzik, what message would you give to this generation on Tisha B'Av today?
First of all, to be good to the Rabbi Shalom, and to be good to other people. To be good and always to have faith in the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And wherever we go, wherever we stay, we should remember we are Jews and we have a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And we have to whom to trust. What will happen, will happen. I leave it in the hand of God. I especially, those survivors from the DP camps and from the Germans, were dying from hunger, from starvation. Lice all over there, ice like this, and dirt for I would say for a year. I didn't have a shower or something like this. Where was there? Their purpose was, their matara was that we should die. A bullet was too much for them to give us. They wanted us to die from dirt and from malnutrition. That was their matara. And we have to know, Shiviti Hashem lenegdi, tamid, not just like Baruch Hashem. Sure, it's important to say Baruch Hashem, but we should know, Baruch Hashem, that I am alive, I am healthy, I can walk, and I believe in you. That's it, what they have to do.
A Holocaust survivor has been through everything. They've seen the horrors firsthand. They've lost their family. They saw the Nissim openly. They felt Hashem, and they were moiser nefesh for others. Although the Holocaust was one of the greatest tragedies in history, killing over 6 million Jews, it's also the greatest example of resilience in history. Following the destruction of the Holocaust, when over a third of our nation was murdered, it seemed that Jews were finished. However, ordinary Jews like Itzik continued to build. Little did he know what would be 81 years later. Itzik merited to see his 5th generation Kenai Nahora. These people exemplify what it means to be resilient and to rebuild. And it's because of them that we are here today. For a Yid to be here today is statistically unlikely. It's downright impossible. It doesn't make any sense. Rabbi Yaakov Emden in the Hakdama to his Siddur Beis Yaakov writes that despite everything that happened to us over thousands of years, we are still here. And he says that when he thinks about this, it's greater to him than any of the miracles that happened in Mitzrayim or in Eretz Yisrael. I took the boys of yeshiva to an army base. I wanted them to give chizuk to the soldiers. We played music, we made a barbecue, and the soldiers danced like we've never seen before. We asked ourselves afterwards, which army, in which country in the middle of a war would dance like this? And the answer is why we're still here today. The Chofetz Chaim describes that at the end of time, there'll be a rope dangling down. Grab hold of that rope. That's the rope of Emunah. That's the rope of belief and trust in the Ribbono Shel Olam. The closer we get to Mashiach, the more the Ribbono Shel Olam is going to vigorously shake that rope. Rabbi say, it's shaking vigorously. Hold on to it. Hold on to it for your life. Because that's the Emunah that's going to keep us here until the end of time. Chazal tell us that the Kruvim on top of the Oron had two different states, symbolizing our relationship with the Ribbono Shel Olam. When Hashem was happy with us, they faced each other. When He wasn't, they turned away. But when the enemies walked into the Kodesh HaKadoshim during the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, they saw the Kruvim embracing each other. How? How is that possible at a time of such destruction? The Mefarshim explain, because when the Ribbono Shel Olam has to exile us from His home, that is the moment He feels the most love for us. Even in the destruction, He's embracing every single one of us. We see so much destruction. We see so much darkness. But still, we have to feel the embrace of the Ribbono Shel Olam. The Dubno Maggid explains that the letters from the word Eicha, which we read today on Tisha B'Av, Aleph, Yud, Chof, and Hey, first appear in Parashas Bereshis, when Hashem calls out, Ayeka, where are you? To Adam Arishon. This was after the very first sin, the sin that changed history. Adam Arishon hides, but of course, he can't hide from Hashem. Ayeka is not a question, it's an invitation into conversation. The Dubno Maggid says that when Yirmiyahu Hanavi says Eicha on Tisha B'Av, it's the same cry. Where are you? We hear that cry today. Hashem is still calling out to every single one of us. Rabbeinu Bechaya brings an amazing medrash that the first time tears are mentioned in creation is on the second day. Hashem separated the upper waters from the lower waters, and the Mayim Tachtonim, the lower waters, began to cry. They also wanted to be close to Hashem. So Hashem gave them a gift. They would be used on the Mizbeach as salt and for Nisuch HaMayim. Those tears had a purpose, to come closer to Hashem. And that must be the purpose of our tears too. On Tisha B'Av, we don't cry out of yiush, out of despair. We cry to reconnect. Our tears should bring us to where we really want, the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash and the closeness to the Ribbono Shel Olam. Many of us are not soldiers on the front line. We're not first responders. We're not ZAKA members. We didn't go through the Holocaust. We haven't experienced tragedy firsthand. But we each have our role. When we stand as our best self in Torah, in Chesed, in Achdus, in Avos Yisrael, in Emunah, in Tefillah, we are part of the mission. We all know that one thing that we can improve on. So this Tisha B'Av, take action. Change something. Look behind us at what they did, at the Mesiras Nefesh of Klal Yisrael throughout our history. Remember, you are a link in that chain. When we recognize how lucky we are to be part of Klal Yisrael, to be part of the Am HaNivcha, the chosen nation, we begin to see our strength. Yes, there are times of pain. Yes, there are challenges and darkness. But look at the emunah of our people. Look at how they held on. Look at how they rebuilt their lives after losing everything. Look at the Mesiris Nefesh they had for one another. Look at our mission. We are still here, and we always will be. Even the smallest action you take today is like the flame of a candle that dispels so much darkness. No one and nothing can extinguish our flame, because we are the Ner Tamid. I hope you've been inspired by the messages and stories you've heard. This film was brought to you free of charge, so more people can watch. The costs are tremendous. We ask each person, please, be generous. There's a suggested donation listed below. If you could partner with us, we can continue this Avodas HaKodesh.
We were searching for you. We were searching for you. Searching